Cowboy. Hey, how's it going? This is Mr. Hat, and I was just seeing how you are doing. Today I'm going to hit close because I just got a text message. Man, I guess you just caught me. And second part, I guess we'll just go over that together. So today, I got my George Washington haircut. All right. So what we're figuring out today is basically a scenario. We're talking about plurals, and this is how I've always done it. It's how I got myself pulled over, and it's the only way I can get pulled over. Basically, we have a secret trap, and this is an idle conversation that always comes up every single time that I'm driving with marijuana. And it always says, "Excuse me, officer, I was just trying," it doesn't say this actually. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. But to avoid becoming pulled over, sir, and just happened to have some spare marijuana in my glove box, and I would like it if you were aware that I do have marijuana. That always ends up being sex, too. The first officer that pulled me over looked like he was at least gay. This was the gayest thing ever. He wanted my marijuana. He wanted to. And that's what they always do, because it's science. But the thing is that there's no S's on the ends of these words. And that's because my S is not there. It's because if Superman's going to come and save me, and he's faster than a speeding bullet, well, he must be gay. And there's no S's. But see, the thing is that when all these words go into this chamber here, there are things that are said. And it's always what the two people are going to say. There's going to be a lady at the office, of course. She has her skirt, because yes. And there's going to be the officer, of course, speaking. He has a hat on. Hat. And he looks like a police officer. And the thing about this is that when they have that conversation, they're saying, "I'm looking for excuses." I do know that one excuse is here. Grass. And I know that excuse me. When you say excuses, all these words do have to get funneled right here at this point when it's going down into this chamber of two boundaries so it can be examined in this area. All these S's are what I use. It's a plural. It means three. Three. Threes. Tres is threes. And three is three. Few. And that's an S. That's those threes. And when that's used, marijuana's a hand can be shown, that has a few of these. It's a baby who's speaking, and he has one of those with an S on the end, an appendage. These also work with apostrophes. They also work with apostrophes with extra S's, officers'. You can keep doing this with the stutter. But if you have one of those words, you probably will get pulled over, because you're adding these, But it's all uniform. And when a sentence like this has no S's in it, they can obviously see it. They can see your little footsteps, They know what's coming next. They know. They do know. They're pointing at it now with their finger. Fingers. So look at how that works and how I got pulled over. I had weed in my under my ashtray, and I went over 35. But the speed limit was 30. Calculating that, 3 is a few, 3 is 3, 5 is a hand. I knew subconsciously that I was pulling myself over because I was very stressed and I had 2 people in the car with me. And I didn't have marijuana. I was going to get marijuana. But it seemed like he too was going to get marijuana. And, fuck that bitch. I didn't want to fuck her. But still, theoretically, that's one little piece of an S, an excuses. So these are all plurals, and all of it will get locked into here, S, when you put S's on the end. And when you say, when you normally speak, there has to be a plural in order for you not to get hurt, too. Because, see, if you have a few things, then you have an infinite amount of things. When you're a small person or big, that has just a couple of things, not a couple of things, not a lot of things, but just a few, right? Few. See, so having a few things is different than having one thing, 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, 6 things. But it's pretty crucial to know that all these words, because it's an excuse, and you can say marijuana's when you're rapping, you can say, well, I need some marijuana, and then you're saying, fuck you, motherfucker, and then you put marijuana so it doesn't say anything bad. When people says, I have thing, and then you say, what are you talking about? Like when Mexicans talk. This is all what that's about, and I mean, I know it's really repetitive and redundant, but I promise there's something underlying in here that I am not understanding that I just explained. And I mean, I couldn't make it any clearer. That's a car. Maybe it didn't want to smoke. I'm looking for excuses to quit smoking. Maybe it didn't want to smoke a cigarette. The car. You ever loved a car so much it was a person? I think that we're on to something here. So, things do get funneled. Things do's gets funneled. And for words to be properly stored, they always have S's on the ends, plurals. And it has to have S's. When I'm speaking right now, what you're hearing is whens, I'ms, speakings, rights, nows. That is how speech actually is. It has S on the end, on every single word. S, 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 sex, S. So learn that whatever the fuck is being said up here, how can I make that more prominent? How can I, how can you, how can we, how can they understand, that Wawana Carr is a person? I think probably the easiest thing to figure out is the fact that we have 4 legs and arms. We have eyes. We drive a car. It smiles. That means it's picking up weight. And when you pick up something that's heavy, you know, heavy is, you know, that's something to know, you know. You know, once you realize how to be part of that car, and part of that metal, and part of that smile, and part of that feeling, and part of that understanding, and you really know that car, you know, maybe you won't get pulled over with a problem. But every single word mathematically has S's on the end in order for it to really be your root of where you're coming from. You have to realize it. When I got pulled over, I felt like I was the happiest man alive because I knew there was a reason why I got pulled over. I knew there was something in here, something was adding up. I knew that there was people in my car that was wondering the same shit, and so was the cop, wondering why the fuck this shit happened. What does it mean? It has to mean something. And, you know, having a hot word, you know, having a lot of weight in my car felt heavy. Um, you know, I don't really know what else to say about that, but you could also say, you know, excuses, meses, and you can put apostrophes on these too, which is also mathematically correct. And every single word also has an apostrophe when it's not like being something slipped and given. It's like when something has ownership. So really every word that we use maybe has apostrophes in every part of it. Tryings, twos, avoids. And see, it's avoid owns it because an avoid is a word. You ever been to school? People say how to use a word, and it's like excuse has. Because excuse is a person, see, and me is a person, see, but it's meses, you know. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, you know, except for the fact that, you know, I really, really, you know, feel bad about people who have feet that look like a car, you know, and it's like, you know, they've got these big shiny toes, you know, and it's just gross, you know, and they don't get them sucked, and they're just old, and they get older, and they don't get younger. And that's just not right, you know, because a car can live longer than we can, you know, if it's given love. And I just don't feel that that's moral.